All right, Aephanemer, I think is how you say the name of the band. The Sovereign. Excuse my sleepy bulldog snoring in the background. It's a pretty tricky song. It's got a couple sections that would not necessarily be that difficult at a slower speed, but because they are played at the speed that they're at, they're a little difficult. But I'm gonna take you through section by section, walk you through, recommend some different ways to play it. Sometimes if it's an extra tricky part, I might recommend 2 different ways and you can choose which one is easier for you or which one sounds better, which one is the most consistent. There's not too much to introduce. Let's go. Okay, so before we start, let's go over a couple of details for the song. First of all, the tuning is down a whole step, D standard you might call it. That sounds like this. Here's your high E string. Tune down to D. Here's your B string. Tune down to A. Here's your G string. Tune down to F. Here's your D string. Tune down to C. Here's your A string. And here's your E string, which is tuned down to D. And I'm on an 8-string guitar, but the bottom 2 strings are not used, so don't worry about those. We're just gonna ignore them. Another detail, the song is in D minor mostly. There's a couple key changes later on in the song during the bridge, and it's at 125 BPM, I believe. Yeah, 125 BPM. Okay, so this very first riff is one that repeats quite a bit in the song. It's the very first thing that plays after the violin string intro. It is pretty difficult to play it sometimes just because of the speed, but it's not too bad. You just sort of need to practice it, loop a couple sections that might be tricky, and once you get the flow of the picking, you should be able to get it up to speed. There's a couple of different tips for picking that I give you so you're not getting stuck in between the strings as much, and I'll go over those. The best way to play it is with economy picking, in my opinion. Just because of the speed, it is easier to conserve motion than it is to constantly just alternate pick and get stuck underneath strings. But you're free to try to alternate pick if you want. That's just not what I recommend. So let's go over that. Let me show you what I mean, which parts you should economy pick and which parts you should alternate pick. So the first couple of notes, we're gonna wanna hang out on the 7th fret on the A string, by the way. We don't really move most of the time from this spot right here. So the first part is open, and then you're gonna go to the 7th fret on the A string. So muted open on the low E string, tuned down to D. Then you're gonna go. And you can pretty much all alternate pick that. Or if you want to do it super metal, you want to be authentic, you can down pick everything. It's just pretty fast, so good luck with that. And that's just up to the 10th fret on the A string. This is where the economy picking comes in. You're gonna wanna go up on the 9th fret on the D string, and then sort of almost like a mini sweep pick, just keep up, up, up. You're gonna wanna go 9, 7. And that might seem trickier to do at first when you're doing it at a slower speed than just alternate pick. But once you get up to speed, that's really hard to alternate pick, and the conservation of motion of just going up, up will make this a lot easier to play. So trust me, try it with economy picking first, and if you really can't get it, even when you've been practicing it for a long time, you can switch over to alternate pick, but I recommend economy picking. So, up, up. That's pretty much the hardest part. The rest of that is pretty easy. Just dun dun. Open, open, and then power chord on the 3rd fret of the A string. And then you just repeat it, and the second time you do the 2nd fret. So, bum bum. Again. And this is where it changes. You're gonna go all the way up to the 12th fret on the A string. And then to the 15th. And then 14. And then 15 on the E string. And then 12 on the A. and then 14 on the E. So that whole part together. And if you're having problems with a couple of these parts in this riff, I recommend looping it at a slower speed and slowly increasing it until you can get it up to speed. So I really recommend looping this part because this is the hardest part. And it's a pretty fun exercise in of itself. And then up, 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 up. And you can even go another up for the lowest string to just keep that conservation when you're going real fast. It helps to keep as little extra motion as possible. And that's pretty much that section. Again, it's in concept, it's really easy. There's not much to it, but it's just the execution at that speed that makes it kind of tricky. So good luck. Practice it with metronome. Start it slow, slowly increase it. And a good trick, I learned this from John Petrucci from Dream Theater, is once you're getting it up to the top speed and it's still kind of challenging, go way overboard on like almost 20 over the actual BPM. And it's going to be impossible. You're not even going to be close. But then you'll find that once you lower it back to the actual speed, it'll seem a little bit easier. It's almost like some sort of weird psychological thing that works. That's a trick from John Petrucci. So it works for him. It'll work for anybody. And if you're interested in the chords going on, there's not much. It's just D minor. That outlines a D minor chord, which is the root note or the tonic. And then it goes to the 6th chord of the scale, which in this case is B flat. B flat. Then it goes to the 5, that next time it repeats, which is A major. They just play them as power chords, which doesn't include the 3rd of the chord. If you were to fully harmonize it, it would include the 3rd, and it would be B flat major and A major. And then it repeats again. It goes to the 6th chord again, B flat major. And then it goes to the 4th chord, which is G minor. It doesn't necessarily play that chord as much as it outlines it. Just if you were curious for the chords, there you go. There's a little music theory nerding out for you.